I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night wherever you may be watching this transmission. Guys, this is an urgent announcement for people living in the United States of America. Not a lot of people watch me in the United States. I'm watched a lot in Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Canada, stuff like that. But in the United States, I do have a few followers. I need them to get this message out because it's urgent and it has to do with everybody's future. And no, this is not a clickbait video, or no, this is not no Mickey Mouse. Now, you guys know I've been following the housing market and the patterns that's happening across the Commonwealth pretty much since 2010, and how it's been growing and creating this big, giant, gigantic bubble that we are in right now. Creating this giant, gigantic bubble that the middle class is completely bought out of their own cities. People born and raised and educated in their own cities cannot even do squat in their own cities, not even pay rent, never mind buy. So this is how bad and far out things have gotten for affordability levels. Now, it is coming to America. We do see the patterns happening right now in Washington State, Oregon, and California completely open their doors to foreign investing. So here it is, guys. I gotta bring this out. There's a couple of big news sites that are actually covering this. Guys, please don't fall asleep at the wheel at this one. This is very, very important. Bidding wars in a pandemic. Housing is heating up fast. Now, I got an email from Warlock, who's been watching my videos for years, rarely ever comments, sent me an email, says in his Texas area, there has been people bidding on homes out in the streets, and the prices are going anywhere from 40 to 60,000 above. I'm like, what? But everybody's sick. Everything's on lockdown. He says, no, Mike, I'm not joking you. We're seeing bidding wars. Now, what's happened is, bidding wars is when a bunch of people stand outside of a house and start bidding on a house, like this house here. So this house here, somewhere in rural America, is about $166,000, right? But now, bring up a bidding war hammer, and people start standing around, people on cell phones talking to overseas investors, saying, okay, give them $100,000 over. That house is worth way more than I bought a house in Toronto for $2 million. I could buy 25 of these for $2 million. You see what I'm saying, right? So that's what's going to start happening. Now, here's the problem, and this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that it's going to take anywhere from 6 to 10 years before Americans jump on this and actually see what is happening. I saw what was happening in 2010 during the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. Everybody said that housing was going to crash after the Olympics. It did not crash. It took off. If anything, it doubled and tripled and quadrupled since the Olympics. Everybody local left. Mass exodus. Okay? So here it is. More than 41% of homes face a bidding war in the 4 weeks ending of May 10th, according to Redfin. That's a jump from 9% in January before the pandemic hit the U.S. New listings were down 29% annually for the week ending of May 9th, according to Realtor.com. And while that is an improvement over previous weeks, it's a slow progress. After the housing market nearly shuts down in April, competition is back with a fury. States are losing social distancing restrictions, and home buyers are rushing to open houses again. The trouble is, they're not finding much to buy. Again, now they're going to play the supply issue, just like they did in Dublin, just like they did in London, just like they did in New Zealand, and like they did in Sydney, Australia. They're going to play the supply issue. There's several million homes right now across the United States for sale. There's no supply issue, okay? The COVID pandemic caused a historic drop in the supplies for homes for sale that were already pretty meager. Now, new listings had dropped by half during the second week of April compared with a year ago, according to real estate brokerage Redfin. Weak supply of growing demand is now causing a surge in bidding wars. So now they're playing that supply and demand issue. No one's calculating the 4 empty homes in Los Angeles County, 4 empty homes for every 1 homeless person. I'm not saying to give free homes to homeless person, but a lot of those people are on pensions and could afford to pay a meager rent. Not these crazy, you know what I'm saying? So, a weak supply demand is now causing surge in bidding wars, especially for homes priced below the $1 million mark. That's about 85% of American homes are placed below the $1 million mark. Are we going to see a benchmark value in America like we did in Canada, and these crazy numbers where the local Canadians, they don't have a pot to pee in. They don't have 2 nickels to rub together. Neither does the Australian. You know what I'm saying? And the New Zealander. More than 41% of homes faced a bidding war in the 4 weeks ending in May 10th, according to Redfin. That's up from 9% in January before the pandemic hit the US. The pandemic of bidding wars or the pandemic? So what's happened with this is, in America, it's very interesting. America, its entire West Coast sold itself out completely to foreign investing. California, Oregon, and Washington State. Now, how it happened and why Washington, out of all places, got completely bought out real quick in a heartbeat? Well, what happened was the foreign investing tax was put in Vancouver. Vancouver put a foreign investing tax because local people living in Vancouver could not live there anymore. And there's an article here. I'm going to bring up the article because it's going to sound racist if I don't bring up the article. Just so you guys know that I'm not making this up. Okay, so here it is. It got so bad in Vancouver that whites and Aboriginals are leaving the Metro Vancouver area. And there's, this was in 2016, where 10,000 whites and 460 Aboriginals, here you go, so I don't get kicked off the YouTube. There it is. So there it is, leaving Metro Vancouver. So that's what happened. But that was in 2016. And then in 2017, I heard the numbers doubled, tripled, quadrupled till 2020, where it's just completely off the hook, where people born and raised in their own city can't live in it. Now, what's happening here, I'm starting to see the patterns. It started in Seattle, and people are migrating or mass exiting east to like Utah and other places. And Salt Lake City is seeing this craziness in homes and bidding wars now. And then it panned off. Now it's coming back with a vengeance. Now, with China allowing international travel, a lot of people are going to move their money offshore. A lot. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people will get their money out of that country. And what is it going to do? It's going to go up and buy up whatever's left of the free market for housing, for the average person, right? Demand for homes have picked up after hitting rock bottom in April, and that uptick paired with the lack of supply is a recipe for bidding wars. Again, there is no lack of supply. They need to take into account the amount of empty homes that are foreign invested owned. There was one guy that owns 58 condos, luxury condos in downtown Seattle. Okay? He was buying them in Canada. Then after they put the foreign buyer's tax, he went down to Seattle. He bought 58 luxury condos. Okay? He's never been to America and has never been to Canada in his life. But he owns them and leaves them empty. Redfin lead economist says home buyers are getting back out there searching for more space as they realize using their home as an office and school may become the norm. Sellers, however, are not rushing back into the market. Some are concerned about the economy, while others just don't want people coming through their tour their homes. There's more buyer activity on our site, as defined by the engagement with our agents around the homes that they're looking at. Then there are new listings coming into our site. So obviously there's more people looking than there are people buying, right? As defined by new listings inventory in the market, Robert Refkin, CEO and real estate brokerage Compass on CNBC Squawk Alley. New listings were down 29% annually for the week of ending May 9th, according to Realtor.com. While that is an improvement over previous weeks, it's still slow progress. While listings are still declining on a yearly basis, last week's jump shows some sellers are ready for summer home sale, a positive sign for the market, says Danielle, chief economist for Realtor.com. But despite this uptick, time on the market continues to increase. There's a long road ahead to getting back to last year's pace of new sellers. So they're seeing a huge lack of sellers coming onto the market. But this is how it starts. And this is how they start forcing the hands of construction companies to start building homes for the upper class. I don't know a builder that does not want it. When they build a condo, they want it luxury. They don't want condos that are just middle class. They want big money. They want to get money for their time, right? Regionally, Boston saw the highest share of bidding wars with over 63%. So Massachusetts and New York, you could throw it in the mix with Washington State and Oregon and California has been completely bought out. Of offers written by Redfin agents on behalf of their consumers facing competition. San Francisco, Fort Worth, Texas were not far behind with rates of 63% and 62% respectively. That is bidding wars, guys. Okay? That's a lot. San Jose, California, and Providence, Rhode Island rounded up the top 5. Yep, that whole area up there in the Northeast. Buyers have growing incentive as mortgage rates keep setting new record lows, and lending appears to be loosening softly as federal regulators clarify some of the rules surrounding the COVID mortgage bailout program. Buyers right now are saying to themselves, I've been locked down in my space for 3 months, and they're evaluating do they have enough space inside or outside? Do they have enough light? Do they have enough, do they have the right home office? If the answer to those questions are no, they call their agent. And on top of that, you have record of low interest rates, and you have a viewpoint that you're going to get a good price right now. You're going to get a better price in 2 years. So you're not going to get a better price. You are not going to get a better price. So they're saying buy now, not later. So there it is. They're forcing the hand. So here it is. That's the article basically where people are leaving. Here it is on Yahoo. Again, finance. Bidding wars are back. Housing markets stung by pandemic. So again, May 20, today's date. Yeah, today's date. There it is. Selling season is off to an abnormal start. So this is how it happens, guys. This is how the housing takeover happens. Okay, so let me show you guys here. Let me just adjust this here. Okay, here we go. So cities like Seattle could see an exodus if remote work becomes the new norm again. So they're now going to find ways to kind of hide the fact that these cities are completely getting bought out by foreign investing in huge money coming from overseas. Now, who's going to buy Texas? Who's going to buy Florida? Who's going to buy Georgia? Who's going to buy all these states? I'll tell you who's going to buy these states. The people that are mass exodusing New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington State, and California. You see, these states merge into the central part of the United States and bringing affordability levels to new highs, where people just can't afford it anymore. So Seattle mass exodus right here. This is from today's date. This is from today's date. Here it is. A survey. Cities like Seattle could see an exodus if remote work becomes the new norm. They're blaming it on people working from home. No, I don't think so. So here it is on the channel, guys. I've been covering this whole Seattle thing. Seattle housing crisis. Chinese buying, Seattle housing crash, kaboom. Seattle needs more Chinese right here because Seattle's been banking on getting more Chinese investors to park their money in Seattle. That's why a lot of the numbered shell companies own a ton of property in Washington State, believe it or not. Oh, just like Vancouver, just like all over Canada. Seattle disappearing middle class. There you go. I covered that. King County housing crash, Washington State massive housing crisis, King County housing collapse. Look. Seattle housing, look at this, on this article here. Seattle housing prices outpace by only one other U.S. major city, and that's what's happening in Seattle, where they're just taking off. Seattle housing crash, Seattle headed for a crash, Seattle housing market in trouble. This is 2 years ago, guys. And that's when the whole foreign buyers thing came into... Yeah. See, foreign buyers overlooking Vancouver, heading for Seattle in a frantic pace. So they're on their way to Seattle because the investors no longer want to park their money in Canada anymore because of the foreign buyers tax. What happened? Canada went to the cookie jar too many times. They were competing for rich Chinese investors. Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, and tourists. While Canada deports a ton of Portuguese families, they bring in more from other parts. So here it is. Visas have been increasing from China to about 500,000 per year. And people send me StatsCan things and immigration. No, this is different than what StatsCan is reporting. This is 500,000 lucrative business per year coming into the country, okay? Lucrative. And, of course, Canada, so would Australia, and so would New Zealand be in a recession without money laundering. Because of since 2010 Olympics, they've been shoveling in so much money into the city of Canada. They've calculated so far $200 billion. That excludes reinvestment and typical layering of interrogation process of money laundering. So this is $200 billion just thrown into housing, basically, but broken down by province. And here it is. Zillow restarts home buying business, showing confidence in real estate amid ongoing pandemic. So they're going to buy up homes, hold them, until they got the connections to the overseas buyers, and usually they pay a lot more than what over asking, right? That's what the whole bidding is. The bidding wars are not designed. Americans, listen to me, Americans, please. Bidding wars are not designed to help you save money. Bidding wars are designed for you to lose your identity, your way of life, your living, the way you live. Because I've seen it in Canada. I've seen the city of Vancouver from 2010 to 2020 go from a vibrant, happy-go-lucky, fun city to basically everybody hates each other, nobody has money, and everyone needs to commute 2 hours to work to go into the city. Believe me, Americans, this will come to America the Great. The brave, sorry, it will come. And there's no army that could stop this, there's nothing. It's proper policies put in place. Australia is having the same problem, affordability issues. The middle class is completely dissolved. Same thing in Canada, same thing in the UK, same thing in New Zealand. Where the people that work supposedly middle class positions or average wage earners cannot even look at getting into any market that involves real estate. Let me know what you guys think. Now, you're going to have the New Yorkers that are bought out of their markets, Massachusetts, the Bostonians, all moved to Texas, Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia. Those are the last states of where you could just stop somewhere in any major city in Georgia, find something for under $200,000 and raise a family. Those days are going to be gone. It's going to be anywhere from 6 to 10 years where you will see the Americans completely bought out of their own housing market. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please share this video and get this out there. And I really need to get this message out there because this is going to be a massive problem that's hard to turn around from. Because California, look what's happened. Look what's happened to Oregon. Oregon started tipping. Once the benchmark house price in Portland, Oregon went to $407,000, there was a mass exodus of people heading east to Phoenix, to Arizona, into Nevada. And you saw what happened to prices there once people left the coast. They moved east and they jumped up prices. Now, they did rent evictions. They've been screwing people's lives around, all because in the name of the almighty dollar. Don't let the money blind you. Look into your heart and don't sell your soul. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Lots of love. Share this video.